is the 25th Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, and all eyes are on the Chinese city of Tianjin. A major gathering of leaders from across Eurasia is what is in store now. Indian Prime Minister Modi will be participating in the SCO leaders meeting in just a short while from now. He will also hold a bilateral meeting with President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. That's going to happen later in the day today. And now this is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to China in over 7 years, and the first since the Galwan clash in 2020. He was formally received by President Xi Jinping, followed by a significant bilateral talk which took place yesterday. After a keenly watched bilateral meeting with the Chinese president, Prime Minister Modi said that both leaders had a fruitful meeting and that India stressed on peace, stability and a mutually acceptable resolution of the boundary question. The two sides reviewed that they called a positive momentum in India-China relations since their last meeting in Kazan. President Xi Jinping has said achieving a dragon-elephant dance is the right choice for both sides. Prime Minister Modi also held one-on-one meetings with leaders of Belarus, Tajikistan, Nepal and Egypt. Earlier, President Xi Jinping and his wife, they welcomed heads of states, including Russia's President Vladimir Putin and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for the official reception and family photograph. Russia's President Vladimir Putin also arrived in Tianjin yesterday, underscoring the strategic weight of this summit, taking place amid tense US-China relations and new American tariffs. Earlier, Xi Jinping also held bilateral meetings with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Maldivian President Mohammad Muizzu. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also arrived in Tianjin city in North China on Saturday evening to a tumultuous welcome. After the summit, Sharif will leave for Beijing to attend China's Victory Day commemorations on the 3rd of September. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who is currently in Tianjin, is set to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin ahead of the meet. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei termed both Iran and China as ancient civilizations serving as the eastern and western wings of Asia. The guest list for the SCO Summit includes leaders of the organization's 10 member states. Some countries that are not SCO members are also represented, including Laos, Malaysia and Vietnam. And to get us all the action from ground zero where the summit is taking place, in the heart of it all is Siddhant Sibal, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs. Siddhant, over to you. You give me what you are feeling and sensing at this point, where you are. Give us a sense of everything.
Well, I'm here at the media center where the world's media is now coming to cover the summit. The summit is due to start in approximately 30 or 45 minutes from now, when the world leaders will come and, of course, start the summit. But before I talk about the day,
all right, we'll try to reconnect there with Siddhant. We're trying, I think we're losing his audio there. Siddhant, if you can hear me, we'll try to reconnect with you because we really need to know what's going on there. You're there at the heart of it in Tianjin, and Siddhant's going to be bringing us all the developments as they come in. And as I mentioned earlier in the report as well, the leaders are going to be having the summit today. That's when all of them will be assembling together. Most of the leaders, they've all arrived yesterday in Tianjin in North China. This is where the SCO Summit is taking place, and definitely this is one summit which will be viewed very keenly from different parts of the world. All right, I think we've been able to reconnect with Siddhant. Siddhant, if you can hear me, I'm tossing back to you. Give us whatever you can at this point.
Day here in Tianjin, where the summit is all set to begin. But before the summit begins, let me show you. This is the China Daily. It is headline with the Prime Minister and Xi Jinping meeting that happened yesterday. Which is significant in many ways, given the fact that it is rarely that we will see such major headlines or meetings being talked about so publicly in China in terms of India-China meeting. But that aside, we know that India-China bilateral hogged the headline. But today, what is going to dominate the headline is the summit that is going to take place in 45 minutes from now. And of course, the meeting between
all right, we'll reconnect with Siddhant there because we're really eager to know more that's happening. Technical issues, they can always happen. We'll reconnect with you, Siddhant, if you can hear me. That was our assistant editor who's reporting from Tianjin. All right, we'll move forward as of now, discuss this further. And as of now, we're being joined by somebody from the US. We're joined by Raymond E. Vickery, who's a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Trade Development and Senior Associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Mr. Vickery, always a pleasure speaking with you. Sir, Iranian leaders from Iran, Russia, China, everyone's there in that one frame. How would the U.S. be viewing this at this point? And I'll just now toss it over to you. Give us your thoughts.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with WION. As you know, World is One is very close to my heart and something that I've been working on, particularly in the U.S.-India context for some 30 years. I think it's great that Prime Minister Modi and President Xi have struck the right note in terms of working together for peace and prosperity, which requires not only a strategy, but requires partners. But there's a long history, as you know, between China and India. The Hindi Chinese bye-bye, that we are brothers, was the slogan of Nehru from independence until China, in fact, invaded India and started a war in 1962. So there are many questions to be answered still, not the least of which is the Chinese demand that it have Arunachal Pradesh, a state in India, turned over to China. It is very unfortunate at this point in the United States that President Trump and his administration have embarked on what appears to be an illegal and unconstitutional tariff program around the world. This has pushed India, China closer together and has indeed pushed India even closer to Russia. If we want to have true peace and prosperity, though, it's for sure that China and India could end the illegal invasion by Russia of Ukraine tomorrow if they were willing to work together and come together with a strategy for telling President Putin that this war is contrary to the principles that both India and China have expressed. Indeed, it's contrary to the United Nations Charter. There will be economic matters here, which should be discussed. But we would hope that on the Indian side, that India would not give up on the United States in spite of the discontinuity which has been created by the President Trump tariff
I hear your point. Mr. Vickery, let me just take a little further from there. Do you feel Trump saw this coming, that the pressure that was being exerted on India and the pressure that, you know, the tariffs and the percentages that were reached, the triple-digit tariffs which were imposed or at least spoken of with China, which in some sense exacerbate that process, because India and China were on the mend, and this happened in Kazan much before Trump 2.0. But with the tariffs in place, do you feel that has exacerbated that coming together of the two nations? The entire world knows that ties were frozen in the last 5 years. And do you feel Trump saw this coming when the tariffs were being spoken of?
Well, unfortunately, I don't believe that President Trump views matters in a strategic or relationship point of view. His view is one of the real estate developer who has a transaction. And he looks at the transaction as being a winner and loser situation, and he wants to be the winner. And so instead of taking an overall strategic perspective, which you have just indicated, making it very difficult under these tariffs for Prime Minister Modi in India to continue the upward trajectory of U.S.-India relations, I don't believe he has a feeling for that at all. But as I say, one would hope from a U.S. perspective that India, which is one of the great democracies of the world, will not give up on the United States in our time of need in terms of getting back to the kinds of principles that the United States has been a leader on since the end of World War II. This is not the orientation of President Trump. It is unfortunate that that has happened, but this is reality.
Mr. Vikri, thanks so much for joining us here on the broadcast, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you. The summit is going to take place today. All the leaders are going to be in the same frame. There are going to be developments. The communique is going to be out, and there will be more to discuss as the day progresses. Thanks so much for joining us and making time.
Thank you for having me.
And for those just tuning in, this is the 25th Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO Summit, and all eyes are on the Chinese city of Tianjin. A major gathering of leaders from across Eurasia is what is going to be seen. They've all arrived in Tianjin at this point. That includes Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, there's the Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian leader, Iranian leader. They are all going to be here as part of the SCO. And the Indian Prime Minister held a bilateral with the Chinese President. There is a major reset in ties, or one can say the reset in ties between India and China, frozen since 2020, is now in full swing. A lot of handshakes which had not been seen in years. This is the first trip by the Indian Prime Minister to China in 7 years. Very, very significant, as we have been reporting on and as we are speaking on as well. We are bringing you all the updates from ground zero as well, with our Assistant Director for Foreign Affairs located at the heart of the summit in Tianjin. So stay tuned right here on WION. We will be tracking all the developments by the minute as they come in. And those were just visuals of the family photograph which was taken with the spouses and the leaders. And this is the Russian president that you see along with the Chinese president, the Belarus leader, Indian Prime Minister, Russian President, all in one frame. The Indian Prime Minister meeting Nepal's leader, KP Sharma Oli there. And all these pull asides also happened yesterday.